Bruce Lee passed away on July 20th, 1973, nearly 50 years ago. Yet his Instagram page has over 7 million followers. The Warrior, based on an original concept by Lee, is now a hit show on television. And t-shirts and sneakers bearing his likeness are still flying off shelves. Even all of these years later, Bruce Lee is still a cultural icon. And while his movies and overall aesthetic were astonishing, the real reason that his legacy continues to inspire millions of people around the world is because of the philosophy that he came to represent. It was this philosophy that initially drew my attention and made me curious to learn more about him. More specifically, it was this clip where he explained how to be like water.
I said, empty your mind. Be formless, shapeless, like water. Now you put water into a cup, it becomes the cup. You put water into a bottle, it becomes the bottle. You put it in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Now water can flow or it can crash. Be water, my friend.
So this was my gateway into the philosophy of Bruce Lee. It was investigating this philosophy where I was introduced to Taoism, which I have spent much of the last 8 years studying and applying within my own experience and producing incredible results. I was introduced to the idea that hidden within the paradoxical nature of Eastern philosophy was a deeper knowledge that held the key to so much of what ails us here in the West. The key to so much of what was limiting my own ability to achieve what Bruce Lee considered to be the highest form of human achievement, self-expression. In this video, we're going to dive deep into Bruce Lee's philosophy of Jeet Kune Do and how it lays what I believe is the best foundation for the true cultivation of any skill. Let's begin.
What's your style?
My style? You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Show me some of it.
Later.
The style of no style. So most people understand Jeet Kune Do as being solely a style of martial arts, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Jeet Kune Do was at its core a philosophy of learning, which Lee taught through martial arts.
What was that? An exhibition? We need emotional content.
The core tenet of Jeet Kune Do is instant, frictionless reaction. It was a style of martial art only in the sense that it was the style of no style. Because of styles, people are separated. Research your own experience, absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, add what is essentially your own. And to put it another way, the expression of one's feelings with the minimum movements and energy. The man who is really serious with the urge to find out what the truth is has no style at all. He lives only in what is. Lee disliked styles when referring to personal processes like self-development because he believed that to adhere to any individual style was to essentially put ourselves into the box of that style, which is restrictive. Instead, Lee saw styles collectively, very similar to Taoist worldviews. And so instead of focusing on any individual style, he focused on the foundations which connected the best elements of different styles. Man is always in a learning process, whereas style is a concluding, established, solidified something, you know? I mean, you cannot do that because you learn every day as you grow older. Each person must not be limited to one approach. We must approach it with our own self. Lee believed that it was important to not take positions. In his words, to be not for or against, that we should instead allow our circumstances to dictate our actions. I see this sort of limiting style approach manifest within so many of the different areas that encompass self-development. I've had people criticize me for laying down while meditating, for walking on a treadmill while I work, for doing Pomodoros of 50 minutes instead of 25. I see this in particular when it comes to which style of diet or exercise is superior, as if the best diet and the best style of exercise isn't the one that produces the best results for the individual. As if we shouldn't experiment with all styles and absorb what is useful, reject what is useless, and add what is essentially our own. In the past, I had the bad habit of marrying myself to individual styles and believing that my way of doing things was superior to other ways, even if that way was no longer actually working for me. When I started to apply Lee's style of no style philosophy within everything that I do, my work, my physical activities, my artistic activities, I've now been able to evolve year after year.
You know what I want to think of myself? As a human being.
The 3 stages of cultivation. Within Jeet Kune Do was also Bruce Lee's unique philosophy towards the actual learning process, which he referred to as the 3 stages of cultivation. First is the stage of innocence, or what Lee referred to as partiality. In this stage, we are completely ignorant to the particular skill that we're trying to learn. Because of this, if we try to perform the skill, having no knowledge but our own instincts, we'll act in a way that is natural and reflective, but because we have no knowledge of the skill, our actions will often be incorrect. Second is the stage of sophistication, or what Lee referred to as fluidity. In this stage, we begin learning the skill that we're seeking to master. We're taught different ways to perform the skill, and we do so in an imitative way, meaning that we're essentially trying to imitate a teacher, whether that be an actual person, a book, or even a video, until we feel like we're doing it right. Now, because we imitate, we lose the natural reflective qualities of our actions, becoming almost robotic. We constantly second guess ourselves, and because of that, we often freeze. Third is the spontaneous stage, or what Lee referred to as emptiness. This stage occurs years after disciplined practice, where instead of having to consciously force our actions, they happen spontaneously. Instead of trying to impose our mind, we simply react without friction to whatever the unique circumstance is that we're faced with. As Lee described, there is nothing to try to do but try to be purposeless and formless, like water. All of his classical techniques and standard styles are minimized, if not wiped out, and nothingness prevails. He is no longer confined. So the first time that I read through Lee's 3 stages of cultivation, I was still a little bit confused, particularly with the final stage. And it wasn't until one night in a salsa club here in Colombia where I live, where everything made sense. So I just finished dancing and making a fool out of myself, and I was sitting in a chair, a little buzzed. I had a few mojitos, and I was watching these dancers, and I was trying to understand what is the essence of what makes them so good. And I had already been dancing salsa for a little while, and so that I definitely passed through that first stage where I knew how to move instinctively, but because I didn't know any individual steps, if I did go to dance salsa, I would dance it incorrectly, right? Stage 1. Stage 2 is when I started to learn salsa, and so I had many different teachers, and the process of learning was essentially imitating the movements that they were teaching me and repeating those movements until I got a positive reaction from them, until they told me that I was doing it correctly. So the highest level that I can achieve within that second level was really, imitation, and it would never be as good as true self-expression, which brings us to that third level. So again, sitting there in that salsa club, watching these dancers, thinking to myself, like, how are they thinking how are they thinking so quickly? And that's when it came to me that they weren't thinking, that this final stage, this highest level of learning a skill, is not characterized by how much we know. It's actually characterized by forgetting, by nothingness, by simply existing within the unique circumstance of each individual second. These dancers weren't thinking, they were simply interpreting the music and existing. Now, here I am 6 years later, and I'm still in that second stage. I'm still very much practicing, imitating, thousands of repetitions, but slowly I am creating my own style. And what I've described here in this section is the process of mastery, what Bruce Lee considered to be the process towards attaining limitless self-expression. If you're someone who is aspiring to mastery within individual dimensions of your own life, whether it be physical, occupational, expressive, or mental, hopefully the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do can help you the same way that it helped me.